What's up, y'all? It's Motion Muse, and you're watching Tip the Scale Pop.
Tip the scale.
So, on this episode, I'm going to be wrapping up Suicide Prevention Month and telling my suicide story. Now, I have a few, maybe a couple to discuss, and this is more so not a serious video, but kind of serious, you know, had 2 suicide attempts, but I've had plenty of times where I've had suicidal ideations, and they wasn't easy, but let's talk about it. So the first time I tried to unalive myself was back in 2023, preferably around April, like the last week of April of 2023, and that was the week before graduation. That's the week of finals, and it was just a lot going on. I would say I tried to unalive myself because me and my closest boy best friend had fell off, and it was my fault. So I was like beating myself over the head, like, dang, I just lost my confidant, my role model, not my role model, but my friend, my protector, who I look at like as a little brother, and it was just a lot, and I couldn't take it. So I'm gonna go to the night that it happened. So the night that me and my boy best friend fell off, and I'm keeping names out of it because I don't want no backlash or nothing coming back on me, so I'm just gonna say his name was Peter. Me and my boy best friend Peter had grown close our freshman year of college, so back in 2018. We was all just thugging it. We had a good friend group. We would go out to eat, we would go out of town together. We would just do things for each other that, you know, friends would do. But basically, the night that we fell off, I had a flat tire and I was at work, and he came to help me change the tire, because at this time I didn't know how to change put on a spur. So he had came to change the tire, and I was already going through a mental health crisis. Like, I was already like having an episode, but it was like about to reach its peak. So I had his phone, and I was looking through it, looking at stuff that I shouldn't have been looking at, and sending stuff to myself, sending stuff out of his phone to me. And it was just like, it was kind of weird. Like, I should have never been doing that, but I wasn't in my right mind space. So in my head, I'm thinking like, this is harmless, but in his head, he looking at me like I'm a weird. So that's how that went. So after he changed my tire, like, it was done. Like, we were done. We had sat there for like 2 hours, me trying to explain myself, but you couldn't do no explaining when you got caught doing something weird like that. Like, it was kind of weird. And I, like, now that I'm like 2 years later looking back on it, well, a year later looking back on it, like, I see how it was weird, because he was saying like I had broken our trust and he couldn't trust me no more, and like, what was a friendship without trust? So I worked that night, and I worked the next day, and I should have known that I was like too deep into my episode, because every episode I have, a little disclaimer, every episode I have, I end up at a car dealership. So like that next morning when I was getting my tire changed, I was looking at new cars, and I stayed up there all day trying to get an Ioniq 5, and I was not getting approved because I done made some I made bad financial decisions, and they kept telling me like, you're not approved, but I was like, I'm getting this car. So I go to work. I was late to work because I had been at the dealership all day. I go to work, and I'm still effed up about me and my best friend falling off. So what do? I leave work and go to the garden, and if you know what the garden is, then you know. If you know, you know. But I go to the garden while I'm on the clock, crashed my car while I was feeling the effects of the garden. And so now I'm best friendless, carless. I'm just stuck. So I call my line sisters to come and get me, and I tell them to take me to my best friend Peter's room, because I'm like, he gonna take me to the hospital despite what we going through. He gonna take me to the hospital. No. First of all, Peter wasn't even there. Then I called Peter's mom, because Peter's mom was trying to get him to reason with me and get him to not cut me off indefinitely. But he wasn't trying to hear none of that. So I go to Peter's room. I'm banging on Peter's door like, Peter, I just got into a car accident. I need you to take me to the hospital. He like, not there. So I just sit down and I'm like, call his mom. And she's like, why are you in his room? You need to go to the ambulance. Like, I'm gonna call you an Uber to take you to the hospital. But I wasn't trying to hear anything. I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna just figure it out myself. So I told her not to call me no Uber. And I ended up going back to work while I'm already in the garden. So I go back to work while I'm in the garden mindset. And like I said, I'm gonna put what the garden means on the screen. So I'm back at work. Why, when I was at the accident scene, I told my job that I had left work and got into an accident? I was asking to lose my job at that point because they had cameras in the house, but I didn't know that. And this is back when I was working with elderlies in their house when my client was asleep. So, you know how that go. But fast forward to the morning time of that shift. So I leave work, I go back to my apartment, and I get a call from my job basically saying that I was terminated for job abandonment and neglect because I left my client there while I was out in the garden. And they terminated me. So I was just like, okay. So now I'm Peter gone, lost my best friend, trying to get a new car, don't have a car. Now I don't have a job. So I was already on edge. So I was trying to go get the help. I promise to God. God is my witness. I was trying to get the help. I was in my line sister room because I had drove over there to see her. I was in her room and she wasn't there yet. And I was on the phone like with the hospital like, hey, I'm about to come up there because I'm having an episode and I need help. And then I guess her roommate had overheard me and she was like, you know, I can take you, like, I'll take you to the hospital. Like, I got you, tell your line sister, like, just to meet you up there. So I get in her car. Well, I'm walking to get in her car and then I see one of my close friends. And at this time, this is a girl who I basically had given my dog to because I just didn't feel comfortable having a dog anymore. So I gave her my dog. So she's walking with my dog and I just see her and I just start crying. I'm like, Peter cut me off because X, Y, and Z, like, can you take me to the hospital? I'm in the episode. She's like, yeah, I'll take you where your car at. So I give her the car keys. She's driving. And I told her to stop at the gas station because I didn't have no gas. So again, Peter gone, lost my best friend, no car, no job, no gas, no money. So anybody would be up. So I'm like real up. Like when I say, like when I'm having an episode and it's bad, like my head feels very light. Like I feel like I don't have a brain. So we at the gas station and I'm trying to be in the garden again, knowing that being in the garden is where got me where I was. So I'm like, can you go buy some backwoods and we can be in the garden while we on the way to the hospital, which is a bad idea. Like you finna go to the hospital and get medicine, but you finna be in the garden too. The math wasn't mathing. So she puts some gas in my car and starts to be en route to the hospital, and that's when I just lost it. I started banging on the window. I had this sterling silver bracelet that was like durable. So I start banging on the window, beating on stuff. And when I get to beating on stuff, I'm too far gone. So I get to beating on the window, beating on the glass, trying to break it. Mind you, I'm in a rental. So I'm trying to break the glass and I'm just mad. So she pulls over, her and her friend, because her friend was with us. She pulls over and leaves me in the car lot hanging. Like no ifs, ands, and buts about it. They left. They left me by myself. So here I am in the parking lot with a car, rolling around on the ground, crying, screaming, sad about Peter. I ain't even give a care about my car being gone or not having a job. I was more so worried about me and Peter friendship. Because I mean, come on, we've been friends for 5 years. Like that would have messed anybody up. So finally, I'm on the phone with my line sister. They're like, where you at? We on our way. We see your location. We gonna be on our way. Like, just hold on. Just please hold on. So I'm like, okay. But I'm still in the parking lot crying, rolling around. And so thankfully, they dropped me off at a parking lot that had at the clinic. So the people from the clinic coming out like, ma'am, are you okay? Are you okay? And I'm like, no, I want to kill myself. Like, please help me. Call the ambulance. Like, please help me. So then this psychiatrist like, God was just helping me this day, because then a psychiatrist pulled up and he like, have you been diagnosed with anything? I'm like, yeah, I got PTSD, schizophrenia, bipolar, I got it all. I need help. I need medicine. So he's like, okay, I'm about to call the ambulance. So they called the ambulance, and when I say right when the police pulled up, I walked in the street and I was trying to get hit by a car. So as I'm walking, but like, suicide is very tricky. It's like a mind game. You could tell I did not really want to kill myself because I wasn't moving quick enough. Like, if I really wanted to kill myself, I would have just ran in the street. But like, I walked very slowly, and I did it once the police arrived, so I knew I wasn't gonna make it that far. So you can tell that's not what I really wanted to do, but I just kind of wanted that attention. Like, it was attention seeking. So I walk in the street, and the police, she's a woman, she's like, come back here, sweetheart, come back here. So I turned back around, and she was already in the street with me, and I turned back around and like went to her, and they handcuffed me, put me in the ambulance, handcuffs, and like cuffed me to the bed and took me to the hospital. So I go to the hospital, and I'm like, I call my mom, well, they let me call my mom from their phone. I'm like, Mom, I tried to kill myself. Mom was pissed, like pissed. Cause I ain't gonna lie, I've been giving mama the runaround since Vez passed away. So like, I felt bad. She was pissed. So I'm like, Mom, I just tried to kill myself, so I'm in the hospital. And they were mad because my dad had came down there, my mom was on her way down there for graduation. It's like, now y'all coming down here to see your daughter in the hospital versus walking across the stage. So, I stayed there for about 5 days, and I tried to kill myself. I tried to kill myself while I was there too. I was done. So I stayed at the hospital for about 4 days, and within that 4 days, it was a lot going on. So let me just start from the beginning. Cause it's kind of a blur, so like, forgive me if I'm like leaving stuff out, but this is my story, so. So I go to a floor, and I just was having a hard time. Like, yeah, I was having a hard time. I wanted to be at graduation. My friends calling me because my sister was finna come down there. My best friend was finna come down there. My other best friend was finna come down there. Like, everything was ruined. And mind you, my friends hadn't been able to come and see me while I was in college the whole 5 years. So like, this really had meant a lot to me. So just imagine that. Peter gone, lost my job, lost my car, no money, no graduation, tried to kill myself. Like, this just kept piling up. So I ended up getting into a fight when I was there, 2 of them, because the first fight I got into, I was sitting down getting my vital signs taken, and this lady was sitting there where he was taking the vitals at. So he asked her, could she stand up so he could take my vitals, and I sat down. So she does just that. She gets up, I sit down. Why was this heifer rushing me to get up? So you know what I did? I said, oh, I'm not getting up. How about them apples? So I'm like, I'm not getting up. So she in my face like, you finna get up? You finna get up? Who finna get up? Me? Oh, bet. So that finger in my face triggered me out. Pop! Bink, bink, bink! Binking her. Man, I'm all in her. I'm all in her face. Like, bop, bop, bop. They pulling me off her like, you need to stop. You need to stop. Take her to the back. Take her to the back. So they took me to the back. Had me strapped to the bed. And they had a nurse back there with me. So, no, they actually had this dude back there with me, and he was weird. He was touching on my ankles, trying to look at my tattoos, talking about some, I'm doing this because I can. Oh, baby, you're getting reported. I reported his ass for assault, sexual assault. No, sexual harassment. And, I think they made me write a statement or whatever. But anyways, so when the nurse came back there, she was finna let me go back to the front. So as soon as she said I could go, boy, I used saying bolted up there, found the girl that I had got into the fight with, grabbed her by her, beat, some more. Like, I'm pissed, I'm mad. I know I can do what I want to do, because if I come to the hospital for help, I'm gonna get the help, and I'm gonna show my ass too, because I know I can. but that's just me being like kinda using my mental health as a upper hand, because like I said, I'm at the hospital. I know that I can get away with stuff that I wouldn't be able to get away with if I was on the street. So I'm just mad. So when we fighting, one of the nurses is like, Kiera, you need to let her go, because if you don't let her go, like, you a whole nurse, you need to let her go, like, let her go. So as soon as she said let her go, I let her go. And then I heard them say, this is why you gonna miss graduation. So they in there taunting me. So again, Peter gone, car gone, money funny, job gone. I have nothing to lose. No graduation. I ain't have to lose. So I'm in there acting a fool. And it was just a very humbling experience. So, cause I remember at a different part, like a different time, but the same visit, I forgot why I wanted attention, but I did. So I started like beating my head on the ground, and my head was swollen. So like I was just going through a lot. Like I wouldn't wish it on my worst enemy. I had a flight to Dallas like a couple days. I was going on a trip. They canceled my flight. Like I was just pissed. Like Peter gone, car gone, money funny, no job, no graduation, and my flight to Dallas canceled. You got to be shitting me. You gotta be shitting me. Like this cannot be my life. So that's the first story. I got another one. Be back with you. So the second time I tried to unalive myself, I actually went through it. So this was July 9th, 2023. So with April, May, June, July, so 4 months later. So during this time I was doing a lot better. I was taking my medicine, but it wasn't really working because it was a new med and I don't think it was really registering in my system. So during this time I was in summer school trying to get my grades up so I can go back to nursing school, because I had gotten accepted to UMSL's accelerated program, but they just wanted my grade in anatomy and microbiology to be higher for my prereqs. So I was in summer school. This is the last week of summer school, and I just got bored. I was bored. I felt like I didn't have like the attention from my family that I wanted, and I think I again did it because I wanted attention, but this time it backfired. So let me just tell you the story. So I'm in my room listening to music, sad music, to purposely make myself cry. Who does that? That's insanity. So I'm making myself cry. I'm thinking about my dead family and my dead brother and just people who meant a lot to me that were no longer here. So I'm listening to all this music. I'm boo-hoo crying. I'm like, you know what? Fuck this. So I took the bottle of Vraylar. That's the medicine that I was taking that wasn't really working for real. So I took the whole bottle, and it was like, I just took the bottle back. I poured a portion in my hand, threw it back with some water, poured some more in my hand, threw it back with some water, poured some more in my hand, threw it back with some water, until I was out of all pills. And that was like, it had to be like at least 30 pills. So I'm texting my friends and I'm like, play this song when I'm gone. And it was like, it was Melanie Fiona, Gone, Never Coming Back. So everybody texts me like, what you mean? What you mean? Like, what are you doing? So I get in my car, because now I know I done sent all these texts out. So I get in my car and I start driving around St. Louis where nobody could find me. So I'm driving around St. Louis, like, turn my phone on airplane mode. I'm like acting like a straight up asshole. So I'm driving around, I'm not driving reckless, I'm not driving crazy, I'm just driving around in circles. So I finally take my phone off airplane mode after like, I say like 15, 20 minutes. Boy, as soon as I took it off airplane mode, my mama calling me, my auntie calling me, my best friend calling me, my other best friend calling me, everybody calling me like, where you at, where you at, where you at? I'm like, I'm driving around. So I'm like, I'm not telling you where I'm at. So then my auntie called me and she like, if you don't tell us where you at, the police gonna be looking for your car, and they gonna have to, do you want them to be looking for your car, or do you want to tell us where you at? So I'm like, no. No, this is my life. I'm gonna do what I want. I'm gonna lock in, because I'm gonna tweak out. So actually, I was past locking in. I was already tweaking out. So I drive, and I ended up downtown. Like when I said, at this time I was living in Fortune, I ended up downtown. So I'm driving downtown. I remember I called one of my close friends, and I'm like, I just took these pills. I'm finna kill myself. And he like, Kiera, you need to get out the car. You need to pull over and try to make yourself throw up. Pull over so you can make yourself throw up. But I'm like, no, goodbye. And I hung up on him, hang up on you. I'm not in the mood. So I hung up on him, and I get to driving. I get driving, and then eventually I was like, you know what? I'm gonna go back home. So I go back home, and the police is there, and I talked to my aunt. She's like, you don't care about us? And I'm like, what do you mean? She like, you don't care like to be dead and we gonna miss you? That's selfish. And I'm just like, okay, I don't care. Like, there's nothing you can say to make me care about how y'all feel. This is about how I feel. I feel like I don't want to live no more, and I don't care who it affects. Simple and plain. But so the police wanted to talk to me. He's like, can I talk to you? And I'm like, yeah, let's talk over by the side. And by this time, before we had even started talking, I'm crying because I'm mad. I'm pissed that it didn't work. When I say pissed, I'm pissed. I was livid. I'm trying to get gone, and it didn't work. I'm like, clearly I got a purpose because it didn't work. So I'm talking to the police, and he just asked me like, what do I do? What do I like to do? He just, trying to ask the fun questions that are like put me in a different mood. So he like, you got to go to the hospital. I'm like, yeah, just don't leave me there. So because I have PTSD from when I went to Center Point, and I was left there, left for dead. We ain't gonna talk about it, but that's for a different story for a different day. So I go in the ambulance, I go to the hospital, and I stayed there for like 5 days, and I just remember myself like moping around, like asking myself like, is this gonna be my life? I'm spending my 20s, my early 20s at that, in the hospital. Like, nobody wants that type of life for themselves, especially somebody that got a lot going for themselves, just got a degree, just finished school, finna go back to nursing school. Like, is this really my life? So I had to really ask myself, like, do I want this for myself? And I really had to sit down and like think about it. And my aunt came to see me, and she kind of ruined it for me because she had the nerve to say she feels like I lied about taking the pills and just poured them down the toilet because I wanted attention. And I'm like, well, you're right, I wanted attention, but I really took them pills. And she was like, I think you took them because you didn't want to take the exam. And I'm just like, is she okay? I'm the one in the hospital, and you telling me how I feel. How that sound? So you can tell that there's a disconnect between me and my aunt, because it's just a lot that goes on behind the scenes that I don't talk about. So then my mom comes to see me, and she's like, you need to get yourself together because I don't want to keep doing this. Like, I already lost my son. I don't want to lose you too. And I think that's where it kind of clicked in my head, like, okay, maybe I am being selfish because my mom already had to bury my brother. Like, she don't want to have to bury me too. Like, that's kind of fucked up. So I just sat down with myself, and I'm like, I can't do this again because next time I might not get out. Next time I might be a ward of the state. I'm gonna lose all my rights because my mama was threatening me, saying that I was gonna lose my rights and she was gonna give me to the state. And it would hurt my feelings in the beginning, but I had to tell myself, like, look at how you're acting. It's the way you act. I had to come to a realization that, like, there is a bigger purpose for me, and if I put it in God's hands, He got me. So that's my story, and I'm sticking to it.